when we're looking at content for the publishers, we want to make sure that we're writing content that people actually want to read, that's relevant to both the publisher and to the client, and that it makes sense. And so once we do that and we agree on a topic, we then look at, all right, what keywords could this rank for? And then we pick 2 or 3 keywords at most, and then we use positional to optimize it to a particular level.
Welcome to the Honest Marketing Podcast, where you learn proven strategies to grow your business without selling your soul. I'm your host, Travis Britton, and today my guest Tristan is going to really do a great deep dive for us on SEO and specifically link building strategies. We've had some SEO-based conversations here on the podcast in the recent past, looking back at a couple months to last year, just because it's such a pivotal element of discoverability online. If you think about marketing and sales, the first step is always a prospect, somebody who could buy from you, discovers who you are and what you do. And search engine optimization, basically having your website revealed as a search result when somebody types something into Google, has for a long time been a mainstay in digital marketing. And so it's really important to get kind of like the blocking and tackling, the fundamentals of marketing right for your business, so you can focus on some of the more innovative forward-facing opportunities like AI, like content marketing and things like that to build your brand and have a holistic message and approach. So in this conversation with Tristan, we're going to talk about link building, how it works, the pros and the cons of working with an agency to do it for you, things to be aware of, how to execute it well, and then how to incorporate link building and creating content on publishers' sites that aren't yours, that point back to your website, how that helps you with things like domain authority and search engine result optimization and things like that. So buckle up, get ready for some great content on search engine optimization. Make sure you stick around to the very end. We'll give you my number one takeaway from our conversation with Tristan, but here it is. Let's dive in. Well, Tristan, welcome to the Honest Marketing Podcast. Super excited to have you here and talk all things SEO and SEO goodness.
Hey, Travis. No, thanks for having me.
So before we dig into kind of the meat and potatoes that we're going to be talking about, I would love for you to just give an overall background of yourself, the company that you built with your brother, No BS Marketplace, and just your history in marketing and SEO specifically, and just the work that you're doing right now.
So Aaron and I, we've had businesses for years, and our current business, the No BS Marketplace, was the evolution of our original digital marketing agency that we started. So back in 2014, we went out on our own after working for some agencies here in Australia, and we started our own agency because we were getting really fed up with the state of play. We're talking, 2014. SEO was very, very different back then. We're talking locking people into 12-month contracts and not doing any work, and it was just like a huge mess. And so we were just working with a lot of local businesses, helping them with websites, Google Ads, SEO, and we're doing quite well. And I was just doing some local area networking to pick up business, and we had a pretty comfortable business. But one of the biggest problems that we had running the business was doing link building. And so link building is a big part of SEO. It was back then, and it still is today. And it was such a huge pain point for us. And so No BS was a side project for our agency because we were really just trying to solve our own problem. Because back then, when you're building links, we're prospecting to build links for publishers to reach out to, and then we're writing content, and then we're trying to get live links. And and back then it was like you go to, and still some big names now, like you go like there's a company in the UK called Fat Joe, and they were around when we started, and so they were like the premium offering. But we wanted some more control over the process. We wanted to be able to pick the publishers, and no one did that. And so what we did was we built a marketplace where we kind of act like a broker between the publisher and the client. So we reach out to the publishers, we onboard them, we negotiate rates, we build our own custom platform. And then our clients would then come in and they would see the lists of all the publishers that we've already negotiated rates with. So you just come in, instead of having to do any of your own outreach, you just choose the publishers you want. You already know how much it's going to cost. We take care of the content, and then you get quality links. It's like digital PR, the way that, it's changed a little bit now. It's changed a lot now since 2015, but, and it's just absolutely blew up for us. I think for 3 years straight, we had something like 150% year-on-year growth. And so it's sort of evolved from just doing link building to now as a marketplace where we sell a lot of content, we sell strategy documents, we have more and more marketing teams that don't necessarily just want to buy the product, they want us just to take care of getting the results as well. And a lot of agencies resell our services. So I often joke that, we do SEO for SEOs. So when I start conversations with people, I'm generally asking them, how they'd rate their SEO knowledge, because I can really geek out quickly and confuse people with lots of SEO jargon and highly technical stuff. So, but that's basically where we've gotten to today. We've got 70 odd people in the team. We've got clients all over the world. So even though it's 6 a.m. for me here in Australia, in Melbourne that we're talking, more than 90% of our business is international, including our team as well. I just happen to be based in Australia.
Yeah, and I love that you kind of cut your teeth on link building, because that's definitely the piece of SEO that I think most often gets overlooked. Just talking to people, they think about SEO as like, okay, we got to figure out how do we please the Google search engine genie with the right keywords and the right headlines and the right type of content, and you're trying to create this irresistible like web destination for search traffic. But then if Google doesn't think that your domain is worth anything, then it doesn't matter how magically wonderful your content is. So walk me just like at a high level, if you're explaining link building to somebody who's never done it before or never researched it before, because I imagine there's some entrepreneurs that have heard about it. Maybe they use an SEO agency and there may be some of that in the scope of the work, but they aren't familiar with really how it works. How would you describe link building and the value it has connected to the discoverability of your website?
Yeah, sure. So getting links back to your website, it's like getting recommendations from other people on the internet. And so if you've got 100 different websites that are all competing for the same keywords and the same niche for the same location, then the only way that Google can really decide who they're going to put at the top of the pack is they're going to look at your domain authority. And so there's a bunch of different tools you can use to look at domain authority. I mean, Moz was the original. You've got SEMrush and Ahrefs and all these tools. But really, Google's going to be looking at, all right, well, you've got all this content. You've got an optimized website. I understand that you do this thing. But, how many other people trust you? And when we're doing link building, a lot of the time is that you need to be doing something to earn links back to your website. So it could be something like going on a podcast where they're going to link back to your website. It could be that you're contributing to a piece of content or giving them a video. It could be that you've written a white paper or done a study. So generally you're doing something for these other online publications or these other websites to link back to you. And then Google looks at how much authority they have. And so, you can't just go out and have a whole bunch of websites with zero authority or linking to each other, or, you go to a networking party and everyone's just like, hey, let's just link to each other's websites, because, the accountant linking to the plumber's website, that doesn't really make much sense. Like you need peers, people within your industry to be linking to you, like people with authority. And Google looks at all that. And so it's easy to get caught up to because Google tell you don't do link building. And they've been telling you for years, don't do link building. And it's because it's one of the biggest, ranking factors still. And they just don't want you to know that because then you'll focus on it. They just sort of try and scare you into not doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and because that was going to be my next question is quality versus quantity when it comes to link building, because if you use SEO agencies and they say, we'll get you X number of links to your website, but there's no commitment to the quality of those links or who those publishers are. It's like, yeah, we can get Joe Schmo's blog about, homeschooling to link to your marketing website, but that doesn't doesn't do anything. It's just checking a box on a deliverable. Uh, um, and so when you're approaching publishers to have in your marketplace, what are the factors that you look for? What are the key indicators that you look for as far as like a high quality link source versus, just somebody that checks a box? When you're thinking about creating that two-sided marketplace.
So I won't go into too much detail because we've got like 120-point checklist that we look at, and we look
it's pretty extensive. Yeah.
Because there's so much data available from so many different tools that it's really easy to get caught up into it. But when I'm talking to someone new that's maybe hasn't done a lot of this before, a lot of it is just making sure that you're looking for publishers that look like legitimate businesses that are niche relevant to you. So, are they producing content for themselves that are not just, that's not other people's content with links in it? Do they have any active social pages? Do they have a contact us page? Is there an about us page? What does the website look like? Does it look like it's 20 years old and, and covering a huge variety of different niches? And so, when it's really about making sure that it is a real website, and it's getting harder and harder because there's some really smart people out there that do some questionable things building these websites that, you potentially would be buying links on. And so, a term that is used quite often in this industry is people buying PBNs. Now, a PBN is a private blog network, and it's still seen quite commonly today, where today's view of it is that we've got people that buy what we call a drop domain. So let's just say that you were running a business. It could be you, Travis. If you run a business in the past and you had a website and you're like, move on to your next project, the domain expires, you let it go. But there would have been a real website on there with age and authority and content. And what people are doing is that those domains have got authority. It's a drop domain. It's an expired domain. So then that goes to the domain auctions, like GoDaddy have got domain auctions. And then so these people come along and they look for the high authority domains that have expired. And they buy these drop domains, and they use a tool called the Wayback Machine that archives every page on the internet. And they scrape all your old content, and then they rebuild your website without asking you, of course. And then they prop it up, and then they just sell links on it, and they burn it. So it's really easy to get misled into thinking it's a good site. But there are tools that we can use where you might use something like SEMrush to look at the traffic trends, and if you can see that there's a 2 or 3 month period where there was zero traffic on the website, that's typically like a telltale sign that it's not a real website, and it's now built specifically for selling links. And it's going to be pretty worthless soon because Google's going to realize that there's hundreds of outbound links every month that are going onto this website, and they're not doing anything else. So it might be okay now, but 3 months from now, the website will be totally useless.
Yeah, I had never heard of that before. That's brand new to me. So thanks for enlightening me.
You're welcome.
But let's say you find like a good website, a good publisher, part of getting that link is there's a value exchange, and maybe we can talk about like financially what that looks like to buy links back to your site. But then also you mentioned some different content buckets, whether it's white papers or blog posts or videos. When you are working with the publisher, how much of the content is a part of the conversation versus the fee for the link?
Yeah. So equally. So there's two parts to this. You got to remember that the publishers, they're trying to run a business too. So by selling links, this is a form of ad revenue for them, no different to if they were selling display ads or doing an advertorial. In a lot of cases, we are educating the publishers that there's this new form of revenue that perhaps they're not capitalizing on yet. So we go through a bit of an education process. And the way that we typically like to do it is that it's hard for us to convince our clients to invest the money in doing white papers and studies and creating really high quality content that the publishers will just want to naturally link to. And that's a link building strategy in its own. Looking for content that people would want to link to without you having to do anything. Typically, what we're doing is we're going to be writing a new piece of content for the publisher along with a monetary exchange. Now, that monetary exchange could be anywhere from $20 up to $10,000, depending on the authority of the publisher. And when I say we're writing content, what we're doing now, and this has changed a lot over the years, is that we're typically writing either a new blog to go onto their website. It could be a news article if it's a news site. We've recently started doing listicles. We're doing another thing we call editorial links, where we take their existing articles, we rewrite them, we update them to make sure that they're current, we add a bit more, and then we insert a link into that. So there's different types of content. So one of the you'll often hear me talking about what are we doing to earn the link, because Google doesn't want you to buy links. And even though technically you're still buying them, you still need to do something to earn the link anyway. And that's where the content piece comes into play. So just like, if we're doing some digital PR, typically what would happen is that, say you would come along, you choose your publisher, no different to if you're going to do outreach to yourself. We reach out to the publisher and go, hey, this is Travis from Honest Marketing. I can see that your website focuses on entrepreneurs and people starting a new business. Let's hash out some topics or some content that are going to be relevant to both your audience and Travis's audience. And so we start that conversation with the publisher to make sure that we're creating relevant content to both audiences that they're going to want to put on their website. And then we use a tool. We've recently moved to a tool called positional.ai or .com. And so what we're doing is we optimize the content as well for particular keywords before it goes onto the publisher's website, because the key here is that we want this page to be indexed. Like, we want Google to recognize that it exists, but we also want it to rank and drive traffic for the publisher. So this isn't just a monetary exchange. This is us being able to produce quality content that the publisher wants to put on their website that is actually going to rank for keywords and help their SEO strategy. We spend a lot of time these days talking to publishers about their own SEO strategy, how they're structuring their website, their URL structure, all the technical stuff, but also they need to do link building as well, not just selling links, because they're going to get in trouble and Google's going to penalize them if they're just having lots of outbound links and no inbound links.
Yeah, because the next thing I was going to ask you is, like, what style of content do you typically create? Is it PDF format? Is it text format to make it easier to scrape, audio, video? And then how do you optimize that? When you're optimizing, let's say, like blog style content or written content, and you're using, different tools to identify, like, this is the kind of content that would perform well for these certain keywords. How much of the keyword competition do you look at, as far as, there's obviously monthly search volume, but then, how many results pop up and how easy would it be to rank for this keyword, or how good of a blog does it need to be to outrank these other existing competitors, right? Like, the rabbit hole goes really deep when you're really, peeling the layers back. What's your process for creating what would be a well-optimized piece of content, and how do you typically start with the list of topics from the publisher that they're interested in you writing about, or are you identifying those really valuable keywords first and then bringing that into the conversation as far as, like, suggesting certain topics, or, what does that give and take look like?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. One of the things that we spend a lot of time on here when we're doing SEO is we try not to get too caught up in too much. Like, it's very easy to get caught up in the data, and I understand what you're saying when we're looking at keyword competitiveness and traffic for different keywords. And, if I write this blog, is it going to get to page 1? And how many links does it need to get there? And how long does it need to be? And it's really easy to get caught up in that. And, the thing I tell a lot of people, including our team, is that it needs to be natural. So, it's no different to if we're trying to beat the AI detection tools. And I mean, that's a whole nother topic of conversation with, AI content. But it's relevant to this conversation when I'm talking about making sure that we're creating natural content, because the writers on our team, they were spending over the last year or so, they've spent so much time trying to beat the AI detection tools, because that's what we thought we needed to do, that the content they were writing was garbage. So they would intentionally, so even though we some of our, we do use AI to assist with some of the content that we write, but it's to assist. And we sell like a premium content product where we guarantee it's 100% human written. So I know that the writers, they've got we track their keystrokes when they're writing content. So we know that it's 100% human written, but then you put it into a tool like Originality, and Originality is like, this is 95% AI written. I'm like, but it's not. I know that it's not. And
Right.
so the team are then sabotaging the content to help it pass the AI detection tools. Like, I'm talking spelling and grammar mistakes, like shuffling things around, like inserting words that doesn't make sense. And so it just delivers like a terrible experience. And the reason that I've brought that up is because when we're looking at content for the publishers, it's no different in that we want to make sure that we're writing content that people actually want to read, that's relevant to both, the publisher and to the client, and that it makes sense. And so once we do that and we agree on a topic, then what we do is, once we've agreed on the topic, we then look at, all right, what keywords could this rank for? And then we pick 2 or 3 keywords at most, and then we use positional to optimize it to a particular level. So we don't, if I was writing blogs for my own website, or like for some of our SEO clients' websites, absolutely, I would do more of a deep dive when I'm looking at the content structure. We're big believers in the pillar and cluster content model. HubSpot coined that term years ago. Talk about that later if you want. But when we're looking at content topics for your website and trying to build topical authority, absolutely, I would do a deep dive on, how am I going to get these to rank for these keywords? Because we want to drive top of funnel traffic to the website that it's going to eventually convert. But when we're doing it for the publishers, there's a bit less of that and more, let's try and keep it natural and readable, because it's going to get shared in a lot of cases on the publishers' social channels. It's going to feed through their homepage. Like, they're interested in readability, time on, how much time people are spending on their website, rather than just getting traffic. And end of the day, you'll find that a lot of the largest websites and most successful websites in the world, they don't focus terribly much on their SEO strategy. They're putting their customers first, and they're trying to keep it as natural as possible, and the results typically will follow.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and shift back to the original reason why somebody wants to do this is to obviously get increased domain authority so that they can get more discoverability on their website for sales and marketing conversions. And I want to specifically ask about how AI is impacting the way that SEO agencies, and specifically businesses that see the value in investing in search engine results and using that as a opportunity to increase traffic to their website. Where are the places where AI really starts to hurt you if you over leverage it or if you use it too extensively? And where are the opportunities to use it to get that productivity increase, or to move quicker, or to be more efficient, or to optimize better? Because there's always a give and take, right? It's not that anything is all bad or all good. It's just knowing the proper limitations to put on your execution of it to not hurt yourself in the long run.
Yeah. So one of the things that people get really caught up in is that they think they just need to produce lots of content for their website. It's like everyone's saying, it's like you should be writing blogs, more pages, more content. You don't need to do that. But the thing that AI has done is it's made it really easy to produce lots of trashy content at scale, like really cheaply. And so we've been using AI for quite a long time. And you would have heard me say before, we use AI to assist us. compared to someone who might say, go to ChatGPT and go, can you please write me a 750-word article on this topic? And then they'll just put that up on their website. And, it's, you see this, this term thrown around a lot at the moment, people calling themselves prompt engineers. And so these are people that understand AI a little bit better. And so it's really about, you get out what you put in. And so, I think we're almost done like a 360 on the whole AI content thing, because it started off first like AI is bad. AI content is terrible. Don't do that. But I mean, I've seen SEO case studies where people are just using AI to create content, and their website is ranking for huge terms and generating millions of views a month purely with AI generated content. And the reality is that Google doesn't know what's AI content and what's not. These AI detection scores are total. Like, we're talking about for-profit companies. It's in their best interests to tell you that it is written by AI, even when it's not. And so AI can be an excellent tool in helping to, I use it on a daily basis. I use it to fix up my emails. I use it, for in marketing to fix up some of the messaging. So previously, where I might have sent something that I'd written to someone on my content team to check my spelling and my grammar and my tone, I'd now use something like ChatGPT to do that for me. Where it used to take us 4 to 6 hours to write a 750-word article, we can now do that in 2 hours and write a better quality article. But it's also taken us a really long time to get to a point where we're giving the right prompts, and we give the right information to be able to do that in the process. So we don't just go to ChatGPT and be like, write us an article. Like, we talk about the tone that we want. We give examples. We do the structure of the blog that we want to write. So, like all the intro, the outro, the main points that we want, we'd reference other articles as well. And then we give all that to ChatGPT or some of the other AI tools that we use. It spits out a suggestion, and then it comes back to the writer, and then we clean it up. So it's good in adding the filler and piecing all your ideas together. But if you've got no ideas, like, you're still going to end up with crappy content. I think it's going to be interesting watching this space, in that Google's not targeting AI generated content. They're targeting useless websites that offer no value to the internet. They're targeting affiliates who build entire websites for one keyword. People that are trying to rank for, double prams in, Kentucky. And their entire website is built for that. So Google is targeting websites like that and like poorly written content, not AI generated content. Like, there's a big difference. Like, you can get really poor AI generated content. You can get really good AI generated content. Like, just like you can get a writer who can write a really good piece of content and a really terrible piece of content.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because that's interesting you say that, because most of the chatter I've heard from SEO people is beware of AI generated content, because Google will slap your wrist and say, no, I don't want that. I want a real person to write it. But if they can't even tell, just like ChatGPT, you like, did you write this article? It's like, of course. I'm like, no, you didn't. I wrote this article. Like, what are you talking about? You didn't make this. Or like they have like their new image detection where they're supposed to be able to tell you, like, if, Midjourney or somebody created this image, and they can recognize it sometimes, but then if like you chop off a little corner of it, it'd be like, oh, that's totally real. Like, we didn't make that because we would have put something in this corner. So of course we didn't make that, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So that's fascinating. Walk me through, kind of shifting to, you're based in Australia. You have a lot of clients, really spread internationally. How does SEO and the strategy of discoverability and visibility with search engines shift depending on the country that you're working in or going after? I imagine America, depending on what you're looking for, can be pretty competitive because there's a lot of agencies in America that are focused on SEO, but maybe there might be some other countries where it's less competitive or it's easier to kind of like transfer that knowledge in. What do you see just at an international landscape as far as, what SEO looks like once you get outside the United States?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So the funny thing is, being based here in Australia, I don't care too much for the Australian market. And it's and this will make sense in a moment. And so the US is highly competitive. It's far more advanced from a marketing standpoint to many other countries, which for us has actually been great at a selfish point because, when we started the business, we've always offered a premium product and we've always been ahead of our competitors. And so, we've had the privilege of working with some really amazing SEO influencers and huge companies in the United States because they're looking for, the newest, best thing that's going to help them get their cutting edge. However, the United States is such an enormous place, and there's still so many crap agencies out there that have no idea what they're doing, that there is still a huge opportunity. And for the clients that we work with directly in the States, I find it much easier to do that than it is to work here in Australia. But it's all relative to the population and the competition, right? I mean, you look here in Australia, there's really only 5 capital cities. And so most people in those capital cities want to rank for terms for those capital cities. Whereas you go to the States, one of our account managers, he lives near Louisville, for example. And so he's just going out and meeting people, networking, and, we're signing up dentists and financial planners and, and people that have been burnt by these really terrible agencies that don't actually do any work. And so we come along and we implement some SEO fundamentals, and we're page 1, position 1 for all their key terms, and they're absolutely loving us. But that's because in a place like Louisville, there's still hundreds of thousands of people. It's 700,000 people that live there. So there's enough people there that we can make our clients really happy doing that. And how many agencies are targeting businesses in Louisville? It's a very specific place. So my point is that from a business standpoint for us, and what we're seeing with other agencies is that, the big agencies that are trying to target every state in America, they can't do it particularly well. But, compared to Australia, we do a lot of work in the UK as well. Highly, highly competitive, but again, huge population count in a small area. Still not the same as the States. And Canada's not too different too. So, we've got quite a lot of clients in Canada, but similar to Australia, huge footprint, but, we're still targeting big locations like Vancouver and Toronto. Quebec's a bit different because it's French Canada, and then we're talking bilingual, and that's a bit more complex. And places like Australia and the UK, we're probably 3 years behind where the States are when it comes to SEO. So I'm getting more business here in Australia now than I ever have, because the SEO agencies here in Australia are finally caught up to what the agencies in the US were doing, 3 to 5 years ago, which is a little bit embarrassing because I'm an Aussie. But it's interesting. It's interesting to watch. It's fair to say that, we're only English based. I don't have, any other writers on staff. We only work with English publications and English clients. We haven't expanded to other languages. We haven't really needed to. But then, we've got clients in the Philippines. We've got clients in Mexico, and so, it's a little bit different when we talk about South America and what's happening, in Mexico and Colombia, and the competition. And, there's a lot of, there is actually a lot of money down there to be spent, but not a lot of competition. So, it's, again, I'd say that South America is a bit more like Australia, where they're sort of still behind the States, but they're sort of rapidly catching up, if that makes sense.
And I just want to ask you, one more question before we wrap up here. we've talked a lot about like how you execute these strategies and like best practices. I'm curious for your own business, what are the strategies that you're using for customer acquisition? So you mentioned, networking and connecting with people. What are the things that you're seeing that are working for yourselves, for your own agency, that you are focusing on this year in 2024?
That's interesting because I feel like as an SEO business, my answer should be SEO, but it's not because, there's in our space in particular, I mean, I'm competing with every link building agency and every SEO agency out there, including the agencies that white label for other agencies. Like it's intense. And so our two main marketing strategies this year we're doing more local area networking. So we've got account managers that are actually out building their own book of business. So even though at a global level, we're driving people into the platform, and like our platform is probably 50% of our revenue is self-service, where people come in and they buy what they want, and the other 50% is them just asking us to either just do the buying for them or taking care of all the SEO for them. So, the account management team that we've got, they've got a mix of international clients where we look after, like sometimes it's just fulfilling link building orders, but we're actually been encouraging them the last 6 months to go out, actually meet people and make friends and go to networking events. And I mean, we're a fully remote business, right? Mm-hmm. So we're stuck at home all the time. I'm sitting in an office in my backyard. I don't see many people anymore. Our team are similar. So it's actually really healthy for them to get out and meet new people. So anyway, we're having a lot of success just going out and building relationships and referral partnerships. Another big push for us this year is we're doubling down on the referrals and our affiliate program. So we've built our business on word of mouth. We've never really spent a lot of money on marketing. I mean, Aaron and I, we are not salespeople. We are product people. I like building product. We built a platform because I didn't want to have to do sales. I just wanted people to be able to come in and buy what they wanted. And so what we're doing and what we've actually been rolling out the last few months is a revised affiliate program. So we're working more with the publishers that are coming along so that we want them to use the platform to manage all of their link building revenue. So, and they sign up for an affiliate program. So imagine that probably shouldn't be telling everyone this, but imagine, right? You've got a website, whether it's a blog or a news publication, and people are reaching out to you every day going, can I have a link? Can I have a link? Can I have a link, please? And you don't want to have to deal with that because you've got to negotiate with them. How are they going to pay you? Will they pay you? What's their content going to be like? And so what we're encouraging the publishers to do now is be like, well, send them to us. They're buying links. Instead of you having to deal with them, send them to our platform. You know that we pay. You know that we write good content. We know that we've got you back. So not only will they get the sale anyway, because the client's going to come to us, but then we're going to give them rolling commission on everything else that person buys. So I've now got thousands of publishers that we're building stronger relationships with that are referring more and more people into our platform. And by default, we have people coming in that are looking for links, but then they realize that link building is actually really complex. They realize that their on-page SEO is not where it should be. And as soon as they have a conversation with us or we review their website, like, actually, I need links, but if you could also, do me an SEO strategy, if you could, just take care of the whole thing for me. It's a gateway for us to other services. And that's been working really well for us. Compared to, we've spent millions of dollars over the years on Google ads. We've tried social as well, and social is quite good. Google ads was good, but now the cost per acquisition's just skyrocketed because there's increased competition. So a little bit different this year from our marketing strategy, but so far so good.
Good. Glad to hear it. Well, thank you so much, Tristan, for coming on the podcast and sharing all your expertise and giving away some of the secrets. And where can people go to learn more about the No BS Marketplace or connect with you and your brother online?
Yeah, great. So hit me up on LinkedIn. You just search for Tristan Gray or NoBS Marketplace. You'll find me and Aaron pretty quickly. Head along to our website, nobsmarketplace.com. You can either sign up for a free account or you can book a meeting with myself or someone else from the team if you'd just like to have a chat about SEO and link building. I spend more of my days talking to clients at the moment than managing the team. So I'm always up for a chat.
Very cool. Well, thank you again, Tristan. It's been very enlightening. Appreciate you coming on and taking the time.
No worries. Thanks, Travis. Appreciate the chat.
So I would say that my number one takeaway from my conversation with Tristan, and you may have guessed what it was when you were listening, based on my reaction, was I had always thought that AI generated content gets deranked on Google, that Google clearly sees, hey, this is AI generated, not written by a person. So we're going to see this as less valuable, less authoritative, not a good search result. But the more that Tristan explained it, it's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like AI actually can't detect itself. It's really bad at it, actually. And, you know, if you take it to the extreme of like, how do we beat AI detection software? We write these articles so poorly that it won't even fathom that an AI generated content would create something like this. Then you can easily go in the opposite extreme of trying to stay so far away from AI generated content that the content itself is just poor and poorly written. So that was something that was really illuminating to me. If you're thinking about creating more content, high quality content, learn more about prompt engineering. How do you generate the right types of responses and results from AI chatbots like ChatGPT, like Google's Bard, to help you as you create content for your website, to really speak to people and the needs that they have. So when you create those answers, they're going to see you as the authority and come to you for sales related help and product related help. Make sure you check out NoBS Marketplace if you're interested in launching a link building strategy for your business. See some of the do-it-yourself options they have there, or consider reaching out to them in an agency capacity. Definitely connect with Tristan on LinkedIn and let him know that you heard it here on the podcast. Well, that's it for another episode here on Honest Marketing. And until next time, be honest.